Thanks for doing this again.
My pleasure.
I'm a big film history buff, but I think there are a lot of people out there, and even the most casual moviegoer should be familiar with your family's history in film. But for the person who's been asleep for the last 100 years, can you fill us in on who everybody is and how you're born into a pretty big family?
Yeah. Well, I guess you start out with my father, right? Lloyd Bridges.
Yep.
And Lloyd Bridges, shall I talk to you or shall I talk to the camera?
You talk to me, that'd be great.
Talk to you? Okay. Lloyd Bridges, you know, my father, he had a movie career, certainly before he had his breakout TV series in the 60s called Sea Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, he was in a lot of great movies, Home of the Brave, High Noon,
Mm-hmm.
and then, you know, he went on to do all kinds of wonderful things. He did Man of La Mancha on Broadway, replaced Richard Kiley on that, and went on to do several wonderful films. He, unlike a lot of showbiz people, really encouraged all of his kids to go into showbiz. He loved all the aspects of it. And my brother Bo, my older brother, he was encouraged, like I was, to go into showbiz. And Bo was a wonderful actor. He's got a whole slew of movies. And I've got a slew of movies, and here we are.
And your mother was...
And my mother and father met at UCLA. My father was the president of the drama club there, and my mother was the young ingenue coming into school. They fell in love, and she was 18 or something like that.
Great story.
Yeah.
Well, and I actually have had the pleasure of interviewing your godmother as well.
Great. I just talked to her today.
How's she doing?
Well, she says she's my Valentine.
Yeah?
She's doing well.
Well, and when I spoke with her, this was about 5 years ago, she said, without a doubt, you're the most talented actor in the world. Now, that's a good godmother.
Yeah.
And what was the connection between, just briefly, I'm curious, between your parents and the Parks?
Well, they were dear friends, you know. They were best friends and remained so, but they were best friends back when I was born. And
you mentioned Sea Hunt. That was sort of your start, right? Can you
That's
tell,
right.
how did that come about? Did your dad give you any direction at that time? I know it was early.
He gave me a lot of direction. I was about 8 years old, and I can remember him sitting me on his bed and giving me all of the basics. Yeah.
And did you know right away this was for you? This is what you want to do for the rest of your life? Or?
Not really, no. I mean, like most kids, I didn't want to do what my parents wanted me to do.
Absolutely. Well, as far as the part that we're talking about today, or that's being showcased today, I know you had some major reservations about it, and initially even turned it down. And I hope you can mention what those reservations were and how you were convinced to, do it anyway, in spite of them.
Well, whenever there's a script about a musician that's got a lot of music in it, my interest is piqued. But there's also I made a movie quite a few years ago now, the Fabulous Baker Boys, that set the bar pretty high for me doing movies about a musician.
Absolutely.
And with that movie, of course, we had all the great jazz and pop standards, and Dave Grusin was on board. And when I first got the script, it was a beautifully written script. Scott Cooper, our director and our screenwriter, did a wonderful job. The dialogue was wonderful, and everything was great, except there was no music. There were no songs, and I figured if this movie didn't have the right song, it wouldn't be any good. So I passed on it. And about a year later, my good buddy T-Bone Burnett ran into him at a party, and he was talking about Crazy Heart, and he said, "What do you think about this script?" And I said, "Why do you ask? Are you interested in doing it?" And he said, "Hey, I'll do it if you'll do it."
And that was it.
And that was it. That's all she wrote.
Well, did you and Scott, who again first time at bat for him, did you guys sit down and at any point say, this is the backstory of Bad Blake, or this is who, if he, who he most resembles in the real world?
We did that, certainly, yeah, and did that with T-Bone as well. One of the first bits of direction that Scott gave me, he said if Bad were a real person, he would be the fifth Highwayman. You know who the Highwaymen are?
Willie and Chris Christopherson and help me out.
Come on, man.
One of the
come on, that's it. What? Wait, yes, and
Johnny. Yeah.
So, his direction saying I was the fifth highwayman, that led me to, understand the ilk,
And music's always interested you as well, though?
Oh, absolutely.
Is it true that I read something about that you filled in for Johnny Cash as far as doing the credits of the Contender, Ring of Fire?
You're right. I not filled in, Rod Lurie, the director, asked me to sing, and it was kind of surprising when he did it. He said, "Hey, will you sing this song?" And it was with Kim Carnes, a duet with Kim Carnes. It was pretty cool.
Betty Davis Eyes, right? I remember this. One of the things that's awesome about the performance, among many others, is it seems so lived in. I mean, the things that are so true. I mean, you come out with, I love when you get out of the car with your zipper unbuttoned and your pants unbuttoned and your bottle that you from the road, and these things. I mean, where does this come from? I have to say, it really does ring true. I may have done these things once or twice myself, but
well. I had a lot of role models. Like as I said, the director gave me that tip about the Highwaymen, and T-Bone had a whole slew of role models that he made me privy to. The guys that he grew up with, listening in Fort Worth, along with Stephen Bruton. And it was quite eclectic. It wasn't simply country guys. Ornette Coleman, the great jazz, sax player. He's from Fort Worth. Lightning Hopkins, these kind of guys. But my main role model was Stephen Bruton, who was also one of the main songwriters of the film, and a dear friend of T-Bone's and a dear friend of mine. And he was with me every step of the way, teaching me the songs and also giving me, tips on what a musician's life on the road is all about.
And am I correct, he passed away after the
film? He did, yes.
So
that movie was dedicated to him.